Anne-Marie is going to talk about how new parenting terms are always evolving, and new generations often use language that can leave experienced parents puzzled. In this discussion, we'll unpack some of these modern parenting phrases, clarify their meanings, and explore how they connect to, or differ from, the parenting principles we already know and practice. Let's hear from Anne-Marie and friends.
Well, I have my very special friend with me tonight. Yeah, it was interesting. Linda Gage sent a whole, well, I have been developing a list too, but Linda Gage had sent a list, and I had gone through all that and prepared and, Googled and what have you. And I think Karen Kurtz, they have a class tonight, so she can't be on, but just the other day sent a few others that she has been hearing about, the Wonder Weeks and developmental leaps. And well, Gary's been working on redoing Baby Wise Book 2, and to include some of the new vernacular that's out there on social media. So being the good Enneagram 5 that he is, he decided to do some research. And so I thought, okay, we're going to start with the Wonder Weeks and the developmental leaps to start with. And go ahead, take it away.
The downside of the 5. Is there any other 5s? Because
Are you familiar with the Enneagrams? Y'all somewhat familiar? Well,
we go so deep.
Yeah.
Once we turn over the first rock, we have to turn over the whole gravel yard. I'm not sticking around. I've never been officially voted in to the group. Contact moms. But as Emery said, we're right in the middle of just finalizing this Baby Wise 2, the new one, the updated one. And it really did need a significant update just to keep up with everything. And at first we just thought, well, let's show that we're somewhat contemporary, and we'll try to explain as basic as we can some of the terminology. And but then we got an email from someone who said, from Lori.
Oh yeah, Lori. Yeah.
Lori wrote, she said, oh, I wanted a refund on my money because you didn't talk about baby-led weaning. And I want to do that. And I thought, baby-led weaning. Now, I know that's a term. I know that's somewhat popular. I have no idea what that means. And so I want to start out by saying, I should have stayed up with the trends. I feel like a very bad leader. I don't know if it's age or what it is, but once I started going really deep into this, I became very concerned, not for what I was discovering, because what I was discovering almost was intuitive. And I felt this is what I'm going to find, because none of this is making sense. And I got an idea where this is all coming from. But I felt bad. I felt like I'm letting all our contact moms down because I'm not keeping up with everything. I'm not providing you the apologetics. In one sense, a lot of the stuff, at least two of the major things I'm going to talk about tonight, it's so ironic because I haven't talked about this for 30 years, but it goes back to it goes back to the secular mystics. Does any of you remember the secular mystics way back in Growing Kids God's Way?
Yeah, the ones that have been around for a while.
Yeah. It all goes back to Jean-Jacques Rousseau and his argument with Voltaire. And Rousseau had 5 children that he wanted nothing to do with. So he put them all into an orphanage, which is guaranteed death.
Especially back then.
Back
that
then,
would have been the 1800s
Yeah.
or so, right?
17,
17.
yeah, 18. Voltaire heard about this and he was so angry that he went after Rousseau for his absolute cruelty to humanity, to his own children, that you would just throw them into a death camp. And so Voltaire attacks Rousseau, and Rousseau, who was a brilliant linguist, in terms of his ability to write, and he'd leave everyone, would leave me envious because his vocabulary was so massive. So he was able to create an argument. And his argument back to Rousseau that he published, back to Voltaire that he published was, look, I did these 5 children a favor because parents tend to be inadequate in terms of their ability to raise children. But the state, the government, is better able to provide guidance to children because the state recognizes that children have an innate sense of goodness. They're born good, and if they do wrong, it's not because they want to do wrong. It's not because they have a desire to do wrong. It's because they accidentally do wrong. Therefore, I did the more noble thing by turning my children over to state institutions. The fact that they died, that's corollary damages. But I acted
in their best interest.
In their best interest. And so this idea caught on. And that's where the secular mystics picks up, how tracing this idea that children are born without any propensities of evil, any propensities of bad, any propensities of self, any propensities of any personal desires. Everything is good. And it caught on all the way through, even to this modern day, this idea that children innately know what is best for them. And what we hold the position is that parents with all their life experience have the ability to understand and to see what needs children have and can step in and fulfill those needs. So you have these 2 diverse worldviews, but they're at play even to this day. So I thought, I mean, that's kind of what triggered in my head after I went through all this research. I actually spent way too many hours, almost 80 hours researching baby-led weaning. That shows you how deep I went, or either that I'm really, really slow. But I turned over every stone trying to figure out what is going on, what are people saying, where did this come from? And you just keep peeling back the layers of research, and finally you start seeing patterns and understanding. But I will start first with this terminology, the Wonder Weeks. I've heard about this for a few years now. I wasn't sure what it was. I mean, it sounds great. It was, and leaps. I didn't know leaps went with Wonder Weeks, but leaps are part of the Wonder Weeks. Wonder Weeks. So our moms and dads are talking about leaps, and they're talking about Wonder Weeks on their Facebook groups and their TikTok groups and whatever other group they're on. And my fear is they really don't know what's behind all of this. So let me just give you an example. It wasn't very difficult to do a lot of research on what we call the developmental leaps, and let me just read this through. When mothers say a baby, and I just put these notes up just for you guys, but everything I'm going to be saying is going on the new childwise.life website, so it'll be all there if you need the research on it. When mothers say a baby is going through a leap, these researchers are saying they're referring to a developmental leap. It's a period when a baby experiences significant mental and neurological growth. That just grabbed me right there. I love studying this stuff. These leaps are often accompanied by temporary changes in behavior, such as an increase in fussiness, clinginess, disruptive sleep, crankiness, as babies adjust to the new abilities and the new perceptions. So you have these neurological leaps that are taking place, and in the process, you know they're coming because you have these outward signs: fussiness, crankiness, inability to sleep through the night. All of these are signs. And so they're these 2, and they're not like the Bongers, because we know the Bongers, but there's these 2 Dutch researchers, and you can help me. I don't know if I can say their names, but they wrote the Wonder Weeks. They're both PhDs. They're not medical doctors. They're not neurologists, but they are PhDs, and they are married. I didn't know that till tonight because they maintain their separate professional names. But they have claimed that these wonder weeks, these leaps, actually take place during weeks. Here's their conclusion: 5, 8, 12, weeks 19, weeks 26, 37, 46, 55, 64, and 75. So in those weeks are when you're going to get all these behaviors, fussiness, crankiness, that will eventually become something very positive as the child then comes out of the leap and into some new level of cognitive understanding. And I mean, that sounds both fascinating and also sounds very encouraging, because if I'm a mom, even as a dad, and I have a fussy baby all the time, and now you're telling me it's not because of my parenting philosophy, you're telling me that this is a natural thing, that my child's going through some neurological reorganization, and that all that fussiness and crankiness and clinginess, all of that is part of the reorganization, the neurological reorganization. So suddenly I feel pretty good about myself, because people were saying it was my parenting philosophy. So the main construct follows this: a fussy baby, clinging baby, inability to sleep through the night, crankiness again, are all signs that the baby's brain is adjusting to new abilities and new perceptions. That's the theory. And while the Wonder Weeks provides a simplified model, here's the kicker: it lacks complete scientific support. I mean, from everywhere, on every front. I'll get to everyone who says this is crazy stuff. I guess that wasn't life-giving. I'll get to the people who have a lot of questions and doubts about the validity of it all. So first, the research, just talk about this research, where this came from. It's based on a study group of 15 mothers and babies. That's it. That's all there is. All 15 mothers and babies and the researchers follow the attachment parenting philosophy to the extreme. I mean, they weren't just a toe into it. They had their whole bodies into this thing. So it's 2 attachment parenting researchers using 15 mother attachment parenting moms. All 15 mothers did self-reporting. So there was no comparison, there was no analysis. It was just all self-reporting. The measure of proof was whether or not the baby was fussy. If the baby was fussy at a particular time, then the fussiness was proof that there was a leap. You tracking some of the fallacy here? Okay. The researchers refused to include in their studies babies sleeping through the night, because that group of babies tended to be naturally less fussy. According to the mothers in the study, all of them reported the sleep disturbances in their babies during all of these developmental leaps. In other words, the babies never slept through the night. They were waking 2 or 3 times in the middle of the night, but they're told, this is good. This is proof that your baby's brain is organizing, reorganizing, going to the next level. Now, researchers who tried to duplicate, oh, by the way, there's no peer reviews of this, none. Researchers who tried to replicate the findings could not find any consistency in any of the results. But basically, they could not duplicate this. They could not replicate any of this. One of the hallmarks of criticism is the overemphasis on the negative phases or behaviors. Thus, only high-need babies work for the study because they are predictably more fussy. So that's why they took these attachment parenting moms, 15 pairs. This is why researchers refuse to include babies sleeping through the night. In fact, they were very much against that. It appeals, this is one of the criticisms, it appeals to the very anxious parent who is concerned about dealing with all this fussiness, and that the fussiness might be a direct result of their particular approach. Now they're more comforted because it's considered a neurological advancement. So then I got down to just some of this. What are some of the claims? The Wonder Week theory claims that babies experience predictable neurological leaps at set times, leading to cognitive advancements. But the neurological research does not support the idea that the brain development happens in sudden leaps at specific universal intervals. So let me go on to another point here. Misinterpretation of brain plasticity. This is one of the criticisms. Neurologists argue that developmental changes occur in response to learning, sensory experiences, and interactions, not preset neurological stages. That's something, of course, we are very strong on. That's why we have playpen time. That's why we have blanket time. That's why we want to talk to our babies. That's why we want them to experience other people. We want them to hear voices, because these are all stimuli that's going to help them progress in their own development. The Wonder Weeks oversimplifies, again, another criticism. The Wonder Weeks oversimplifies brain development by suggesting that cognitive growth occurs in a linear and predictable fashion, which contradicts modern neurological science, all the findings. Number 4, as noted earlier, the Wonder Weeks theory is largely based on parental self-reporting. So parents report behavior, such as increased fussiness and changes in sleep patterns, rather than any actual neurological measurements. None of them were taken. Many neurologists criticize the Wonder Weeks for encouraging confirmation bias, where parents look for signs of a leap and then interpret the normal behavior changes as proof that it actually happened. So they're encouraged to look for fussiness, and then they see fussiness, and then that's the proof that you had a leap, or you're about to have a leap. But neurologists do not support the idea that cognitive development happens in fixed leaps. Instead, brain development is continuous, highly variable, influenced by multiple factors beyond age alone. So let's see. I'm trying to get through this. Some people who do not agree with this. American Academy of Pediatrics will not endorse the Wonder Weeks. The American Psychological Association does not endorse it. Society of Research and Child Development does not endorse it. The European Academy of Pediatrics does not endorse it. The French pediatrics do not endorse it. And when the French do not endorse it, you know there's something. The International Society of Development and Neurosciences do not endorse it. Harvard Center for Child Development do not endorse it. National Scientific Council of Child Development does not endorse it. And you could get the list goes on and on and on. And basically what they're saying is that it goes completely against all modern neurological evidence that we have in how the brain develops, that it does not develop as it's stated in this 50 mother-child pool that they studied. So as I was going through this, I was thinking, well, I'm not overly surprised by it, but what bothers me, hopefully this is part of the shepherding portion. What really bothers me is why we have so many of our moms would even think this is the most wonderful. There were no flags go off. I mean, nothing at all that triggers say, I need to get another opinion on this. Something doesn't seem right. And I think part of it is because so many of our moms are so successful with their babies. They have everything going well. Babies sleeping through the night. They're happy, they're smart, they're cuddly. And yes, of course they have fussy times, because babies have fussy times. And yes, sometimes they can be clingy. Our cats are clingy sometimes. But that's all part of the process. It's not indicative that there's going to be some kind of neurological leap that's about to take place. And I also found it interesting how the original authors of this, and by the way, they are viewed as being too commercialized. In other words, this is big money. And so appealing to mothers who basically have a fear factor already built in, it's very, very attractive. But again, I come back down to, okay, so how do we help a mom understand this? I mean, I don't expect them to do the amount of research that I do. I'm not even sure how. I mean, I'm here to say to our contact moms, you know, once you start to go into the onion and start peeling back all the layers, because you knew the onion smelled to begin with, then all of a sudden you begin to discover a lot of stuff. I'm a little bit surprised to the extent of how much outcry there is about this whole Wonder Weeks thing. And from the medical community, from places like Harvard, of all places like Harvard. And I don't have a full answer other than I want to make sure that certainly in the new Baby Ways 2, we have all the updates. I'll provide all the information. The second one that I picked up on, and I won't spend as much time on that one, because I do have that up over on the Childways website now, although Alicia has to go through and read it again. And it has to do with the baby-led weaning. And I understand, I mean, it sounds good, again. I understand what could make this attractive, because listen, here's what it promises. If you follow this method, your baby's going to become a healthier eater later in life, has less to no obesity issues in childhood, reduces and eliminates any propensity towards being a picky eater, be less likely to prefer sweets as a preschooler, will reduce stress over the entire feeding process, and the family will be eating together all the time. I mean, who doesn't want that? Sounded really good, but in the end, the amount of research that followed this up, and this has been going on for years. I mean, this is 20 years, 25 years, this has been going on. I mean, we remember fighting these battles early on, just they didn't have the fancy words that they have now. What it comes down to is really just a short period of time. The suggestion that a 6-month-old has the oral skills to gnaw on something to get all the nutrition they need. Well, they can gnaw on something. They do that. I mean, they're able to gnaw on a rattle as much as they can on a steamed piece of carrot. There's nothing wrong with that. But the idea that they're getting all the nutrition they need, which goes against using the mom-guided, spoon, and pureed. I mean, that's really what's in question here. That self-feeding would be superior if we could just let the baby self-feed. And I thought about all the reflexes that are really needed for that. I'm not sure how the 6-month-old actually does a true self-feed. I mean, they can't pick their own food up yet. That doesn't come to 9 or 10 months because they don't have the finer pincer reflex developed. The promises, I mean, again, the concerns in the medical community are rather substantial, that this is more marketing. The idea that there are nutritional issues. Many do talk about choking issue. I don't see that as the valid, because both ways babies can choke. What is valid is, though, when children try to self-feed, the gagging reflex kicks in much more, and if that continues, then vomiting follows that. And that statistic is quite high among the baby-led weaning. So when our moms say they want to do some baby-led weaning, the question is, well, you're going to be doing that anyway. So you're going to, I should say, not baby-led. I don't mean to say that. I meant self-feeding. You're going to do that anyway. It's just coming in a couple of months. The question is, are there any advantages to doing this at 6 months when it's going to naturally occur at 9 or 10 months? Are there any health risks? And in the papers that I've done, again, this is where I spent way too much time on, almost 80 hours on it. The research that I have on the childwise.life website just lays everything out. again, it comes back down to this whole issue, not so much as contact moms, but as just a new generation of moms and dads. Are they more prone to just follow after new ideas that promise a utopia that can never be duplicated, come with risk, does not come with full scientific rigor studies, is not fully supported, is hardly supported. American Academy of Pediatrics, again, does not support it. I mean, just go through the whole list. Even the French, again, they don't support it. I don't know. I don't think the question is so much baby-led weaning or the Wonder Weeks. I think the question that I'm more concerned about is the propensity of our young moms. Am I failing to communicate enough concern in the books? Maybe that's part of it. How then do we help, once we're able to settle on the science in favor of it or the science against it? How then are we best able to communicate this to our moms without scaring our moms off? Like I said, we got that one letter from a young gal who she's going to do. She says, "I love Baby Wise One, Baby Wise One." Mm-hmm. She loved it, but she doesn't want to do Baby Wise Two because we didn't touch on baby-led weaning, and she's bent on she's going to do that. And we kept thinking, and we're still thinking about asking her why. What is it that you think you're going to gain at 6 months that you're automatically going to be getting at the same time in another 3 months? What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? What are the health concerns? What are the health concerns that are raised by medical voices? So with that, I'm stopping. I don't know. I don't have an answer as to, I mean, I know the rigors. Oh, and by the way, the baby-led weaning too, that was more of a
social media driven.
Yeah, and no, one of the quotes is it's one of the head of nutrition at the American Academy of Pediatrics says this is nothing more than socially driven, media driven propaganda or something to that effect. I mean, he was very negative on it. And it said this is, it's not worth it. So you got any questions?
Well, maybe you're thinking of a question, and it's not necessarily an answer, but given the fact that so many of our moms, and even within our Prep for Parenting classes, because they are on social media, they are being exposed to these new terminologies, and I think probably our role, even as a contact mom, is to take them back to the very beginning from when they started in Prep for Parenting and help them think. That's what we want
Begin as you mean to go.
And to begin as you mean to go. And have them, it's probably asking them more questions. Okay, so what does that mean to you? And what do you think you're going to gain? Get them to think through what does it mean, and have them start to verbalize what it is their thinking process is, because they are not. It's just like they're seeing it all over in these moms groups on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, or just even their local moms play groups. And they want to be like all their other moms and think, okay, well, if this is the newest thing, maybe I'm missing out on something. And so that's part of our role for all of us, no matter what age we are, is to bring them back to be sober-minded, to think through the process.
I think like in the baby-led weaning, the goals are wonderful. There's nothing wrong with the goals. The question is, can that methodology override intentionality? We're saying, moms and dad, intentionality is what got you to where you are, and intentionality is going to get you to where you want to be. The whole idea of, you know what, I want a child that's going to be able to make some decisions on their own. Okay, we're going to get there. We're going to get there by 9 or 10 months, but we're not going to get there at 6, but we will get there. So the goal of what people are hoping to achieve to sacrifice mom's guidance, a spoon and puree, mom making her own food, to sacrifice all that, I don't think it's worth it. Because again, in 10 months, we're going to get there pretty much. So so what is the advantage and then what is the risk? And I focus a lot on what at least the medical community says the risk is. Some of the risk, I question. Some of it is significant. So, do you want to add any more?
No, not right now.
Okay, because I'm going to go to bed.
So, I mean, we can have, oh, where'd we go?
Oh, what'd you do?
Nothing, not dead there. There we go.
Okay.
Well,
Hey.
before you go to bed, Gary,
Yeah, go ahead, Linda.
yeah, my brain is exploding. And I'm sorry I missed the first little bit. I couldn't find the link. So I think you've made an excellent point. And I think, as I spend every day with these mums who are trying to navigate all of this, and I see the simple things that they are not doing, that proactive stuff that you were talking about, the tummy time, the doing, proactive stuff during their alert time, instead of just snuggling them and carrying them and putting them in a swing seat or whatever the whole time, and then worry, and then they wonder why they are not developmentally like progressing normally, which I think is really, really sad. I have noticed so much that the babies, a lot of the babies that I see are not, are quite stiff and not able to do some of those kind of normal things that I would expect a 3-month-old to do in terms of, being able to play for any lengths of time. But I think the thing about not having discernment in this is super important. And so, but I guess I also don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because especially with the baby-led weaning, as we kind of talked about a little bit, like there's two pieces to it. There's definitely the skills and the philosophy, and you're not gonna do the skills bit at 6 months. You're absolutely right. That is going to come with time. But I don't want us to feel like we should just throw out some of the good ideas that are in baby-led weaning that are already, and some of that is about the research that came through with just different, offering different foods more, earlier, that side of things, which people sometimes, because they put all of it into one basket and they say that this is all about it. And if you do spoon feeding, then that must mean that you're giving rice cereal, which has arsenic in it. So like they don't recognize that those are, it's not what you understand by those terms, which, gets a little bit tricky. So I think, yeah, that is a super important piece of it.
For all the contact moms, especially with the rice cereal, I really went into this deeply in this revisit.
In the Baby Wise.
In the Baby Wise 2. I mean,
okay, which I haven't read yet. Yeah.
Not only do I have the arsenic thing, I've got the wheat thing, and so is the arsenic versus the allergy now. All of that is written up on the website, but it's also and because I think it's important. We used to only use the baby food we bought from the store.
Mm-hmm.
Brazil said, we're not going to use your Babyhood Transitions book, because in Brazil, and you're talking 15 years ago, we do our own food. We have our moms.
Yeah, and we did too. Yeah.
They have fresh everything.
Yeah.
And so in the new Baby Wise 2, we speak to the power of making your own food, your own. Now we do the advantages, the disadvantages, but the idea that we have moved on from the rigidity. It's going to be rice cereal first for 2 weeks, then after rice cereal, then we're going to do the yellow vegetables, and after the yellow vegetables. So all of that has changed, and all of that is scientifically legitimate. Those changes were necessary. So those are all good. Again, the idea that somehow your baby is going to have a sense of autonomy if at 6 months you let them chew on a carrot stick that's steamed. I'm not sure that that's scientific. I think the goal is good. And I think as moms, as contact moms, and for me especially, there can be no wagging of the finger. There can be no, hey, this is how we did it 30 years ago, and it worked for us, and we were part of the great generation. So it's going to work for you. I think that what we want to do is first we want to listen to our new moms, find out what they're saying, find out because sometimes what they're saying, and I'm sure you see this, Linda, sometimes what they're saying is not what they mean, but they're so caught up with the words that are commonly used that they reinterpret the words to mean something completely different than what the literature actually ascribes to those words. So I think the caution is we too as contact moms, well, you guys, we have to realize, okay, there's some really good legitimate changes. And at the same time, we don't want to, you don't have to abandon, but you can blend. You don't have to abandon our foundational beliefs. I mean, I'm still a big promoter that mom and dad know best. And I don't think the child knows better than mom and dad. Mom and dad can do all the comforting, they got all the guidance. I still, but our moms are so advanced and they don't even know it simply because their babies are sleeping through the night. And our moms don't realize you don't have to give up something to gain what you already have. Take what you have and let's build on it. And so, yeah.
And that's where the developmental leaps philosophy part comes into it, because that fussiness is something that is more expected, and it means that I'm needed as a mother. So I because which comes out of the attachment parenting philosophy, and so it's almost like the moms, well, they don't know what they don't know, in the sense of they don't know what it's like to have a content and connected baby. Like that seems to be an antithesis in that philosophical kind of thinking, because a fussy high needs baby seems to be more connected because they want to be with you all the time. But that's not, and a content baby who can be connected but also be independent or go to others, it just is, they can't understand it. And that's, that piece of it I think is tricky.
Are there any other questions for Gary? Because Gary's going to go to the other room. I like to be spiritual. I'm going to go in and read my Bible, but that's not the case.
Gonna go watch Jesse Walters.
No, I am not.
No.
Nope. Okay.
Thank you so much, dear.
Thank you for letting me be your friend tonight.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Good night.
I think so much, and I really want this. You can all unmute yourself. So yes, dear.
Thanks, Gary. It was great.
Bye, guys.
So we can have some dialogue, because a lot of the other, which I can quickly go through, but I think a lot of the other terms that we're hearing, it really does come back to helping our moms, especially if we've brought them through Baby Wise, they've got their baby sleeping through the night, which has all been parent directed, and they've had success. Part of our role is going to be taking them back to see, okay, did you think that your newborn was going to be able to direct their sleeping pattern, to help them to see what they've achieved by doing parent directed. And then it's probably a little bit more hand-holding than maybe what we've had to do. And as Gary was sharing, it reminded me way back, and I've shared this before, I'm sure on some of the calls, years and years ago, I got a call from a mom, and she had a 1-month-old and she said he doesn't like his crib, and because every time I put him in there, he cries. And I says, and how old is your baby? He's 1 month old, and I just know he doesn't like his crib. And I says, and how old is your baby? And I probably asked her that 3 times, and she finally said, oh, he really doesn't know, does he? I says, no, he doesn't. And so, I mean, just that in and of itself, and it's the same thing with so many of these new phrases that are, we've all been there. I mean, we all as women and as moms, I mean, we all want to do the very best for our children. And if this is supposed to be the better thing, you know, they don't want to miss out on it. But, you know, some of these things, they come and go. Like, I mean, some of these phrases, Linda, that you sent, I had to do some Google searching myself. I'm thankful for AI. They bring up some nice things right away. But like the wake windows, I thought, well, that's wake time. I mean, you know, so again, helping them to see these are things that you've already dealt with. I mean, it refers to the amount of time that a baby or young child can stay awake between naps. Well, they already know what those are. It's just a new term. Sleep regression, which I've heard of that for a while.
Anne Marie,
Yes.
could I say something about the wake windows?
Oh, sure.
I just, one of the things that I've seen that it can dissociate from wake time is that we think of wake time as there's eating time and wake time and sleep time. And
Right.
a lot of the people who use the term wake windows, eating can happen anytime in that time. It's a focus of when the baby's awake, when the baby's asleep, and eating is completely independent of that particular pattern. So some people do eat, wake, sleep with that pattern, but some people just throw eating in when it seems like the baby is hungry and randomly.
And I don't know how many, you know, of you maybe have had any moms that have even asked about that. I mean, sleep regression is one thing, and that's, I mean, obviously those can become growth spurts where, yeah, they've been sleeping well through the night. And so again, it's helping them to see where they were, the natural growth and development, and when all these developmental leaps, when I first heard about all of those and the Wonder Weeks, I thought, well, yeah, we talk about the natural phases of natural growth and development in the life of the child in their first year, second year. I mean, there's certain markers that all children work. So I mean, in my mind, that's what I ran it through, but obviously there's a lot more behind it. And so for as contact moms, it's important, I think, for us to realize you always kind of go back to, you know, where
Are there any other questions for Gary? Because Gary's going to go to the other room. I like to be spiritual. I'm going to go in and read my Bible, but that's not the case.
Gonna go watch Jesse Walters.
No, I am not.
No.
Nope. Okay.
Thank you so much, dear.
Thank you for letting me be your friend tonight.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Good night.
I think so much. And I really want this. You can all unmute yourself. So yes, dear.
Thanks, Gary. It was great.
Bye, guys.
So we can have some dialogue, because a lot of the other, which I can quickly go through, but I think a lot of the other terms that we're hearing, it really does come back to helping our moms, especially if we've brought them through Baby-Wise, they've got their baby sleeping through the night, which has all been parent directed, and they've had success. Part of our role is going to be taking them back to see, okay, did you think that your newborn was going to be able to direct their sleeping pattern, you know, to help them to see what they've achieved by doing parent directed? And then it's probably a little bit more hand-holding than maybe what we've had to do. And as Gary was sharing, it reminded me way back, and I've shared this before, I'm sure on some of the calls, years and years ago, I got a call from a mom, and she had a 1-month-old and she said he doesn't like his crib, and because every time I put him in there, he cries. And I says, and how old is your baby? He's 1 month old, and I just know he doesn't like his crib. And I says, and how old is your baby? And I probably asked her that 3 times, and she finally said, oh, he really doesn't know, does he? I says, no, he doesn't. And so, I mean, just that in and of itself, and it's the same thing with so many of these new phrases that are, we've all been there. I mean, we all as women and as moms, I mean, we all want to do the very best for our children. And if this is supposed to be the better thing, you know, they don't want to miss out on it. But you know, some of these things, they come and go. Like, I mean, some of these phrases, Linda, that you sent, I had to do some Google searching myself. I'm thankful for AI. They bring up some nice things right away. But like the wake windows, I thought, well, that's wake time. I mean, you know, so again, helping them to see these are things that you've already dealt with. I mean, it refers to the amount of time that a baby or young child can stay awake between naps. Well, they already know what those are. It's just a new term. Sleep regression, which I've heard of that for a while.
Anne Marie,
Yes.
could I say something about the wake windows?
Oh, sure.
I just, one of the things that I've seen that it can dissociate from wake time is that we think of wake time as there's eating time and wake time and sleep time. And
Right.
a lot of the people who use the term wake windows, eating can happen anytime in that time. It's a focus of when the baby's awake, when the baby's asleep, and eating is completely independent of that particular pattern. So some people do eat, wake, sleep with that pattern, but some people just throw eating in when it seems like the baby is hungry and randomly.
And I don't know how many, you know, of you maybe have had any moms that have even asked about that. I mean, sleep regression is one thing, and that's, I mean, obviously those can become growth spurts where, yeah, they've been sleeping well through the night. And so again, it's helping them to see where they were, the natural growth and development, and when all these developmental leaps, when I first heard about all of those and the Wonder Weeks, I thought, well, yeah, we talk about the natural phases of natural growth and development in the life of the child in their first year, second year. I mean, there's certain markers that all children work. So I mean, in my mind, that's what I ran it through, but obviously there's a lot more behind it. And so for as contact moms, it's important, I think, for us to realize you always kind of go back to, you know, where did these thoughts come from? And as when Gary was reading so much of it, that's when he said, oh, I'll go back to the secular mystics. And that whole mindset. We start with a mindset that we have a creator God. And yes, these precious babies come to us and they're not intentionally laying in their cribs trying to think of how they can frustrate us and do terrible things. But that propensity within them which does begin to show itself very clearly, at least by the time they're 18 months, if not earlier, that it's me, myself, and I, and that's what we're dealing with. But if you're coming from a place where, well, they're innately good, and so there must be something that I am doing that's causing them to behave this way, we just put a lot of unnecessary pressure. So it's again, part of the role as a contact mom from the very beginning was to help moms become sober-minded in their parenting and just how they deal with life. So it's kind of going back to the basics, but there's a couple of others. I really do want y'all to talk if there's things that you have heard. A couple of the others that on the list that was sleep pressure. I hadn't heard about that either. And I'll just read what it said. Sleep pressure is actually an unconscious biological response that makes us want to go to sleep. So without enough sleep pressure, we adults and babies alike won't be able to settle easily or sleep for long. Sounds simple, but there's many factors. Light and dark, they explain that. They talk about the wake windows there again, and then the sleep environment. Well, we've trained our moms from the very beginning to be attuned to watch their baby signals.
Yes.
So
Anne Marie.
Yes.
Anne Marie, Jessica had a question.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Oh,
No,
I just say that I was one of these moms. And I used the Wonder Weeks app. I bought the Taking Care of Babies program. I co-slept and nursed every 60 minutes round the clock for 18 months. And it was not great at all. And my son had a speech delay, and he didn't sleep through the night until 18 months. And then I gave birth a month later, which we all know how fatigued I must have felt. It was awful. But and I did baby-led weaning, and he only wanted to eat banana and avocado. That's it. And he would scream his head off whenever I offered anything else. And it was really terrible. And when early intervention came in to assess him, because he had no words at all at 15 months, and then again at 18 months, no words. He even stopped saying mama. And they said that his score in their evaluation of the quality of his play was failing. And this was my third child. I was crushed. And I'm a teacher. I'm like, what? My child's play is so poor that I qualify for speech therapy and play therapy. I was absolutely felt like a failure. And it was because I was subscribing to all of this. And I thought I just had to set up the environment, and that my child would have a great attention span, and that he would be able to sit and focus because the environment was so pretty. And it is not true at all. So obviously it's touchy to say those things to a mom who's fully subscribed into the mindset that basically a child will just grow and develop beautifully and perfectly with your love and nothing else. But that's where I was mentally. And I had a very rude awakening when I got to that point of the fourth child being born, and everything was chaotic, and I wanted to homeschool, and it just was on the verge of a mental breakdown. So that's what led me to take Parenting from the Tree of Life. And then the ship turned around and I learned so much, but I just want to, I guess, say that I did all those things. So confession.
And I'd like to jump in here if I can real quick, just as the segue. I had the honor of mentoring Jessica as a contact mom mentee, and I've told her so many times, because of that experience, she has a voice with some of these moms. She can share in that experience and share that testimony. It's so powerful.
Can you just give maybe a quick summary of how would you approach a mom that comes and is quite, excuse me, this is Bella. She loves the cursor on the computer.
Okay. If I could go back in time and talk to myself, I would probably just say, how are you doing? And then I would melt into a puddle and cry, right? And then I think I would be open-minded, but I think, of course, listening first. And then, a lot of, I'll say the mindset around sleep, for example, it clearly doesn't promote good solid sleep, which then you're just fighting this tired baby all day and you're exhausted. So I would probably start with sleep, and the idea of it being parent directed, and that the most loving choice is for you to help your child be more independent around sleep, and that there are skills that can be learned. And that is the most loving thing you can do, because your babies, they're not happy. So I would start with sleep. That was the area I felt the most desperate in.
We hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe to see more, and check out the growingfamilies.life website to find more resources and to get connected.